Number 2 is from a guy named Donnie Brooks. And if Donnie Brooks is not a pseudonym, then good for you, Donnie Brooks, because Donnie Brooks is a really cool name. He says, you always talk about entertainment that presents our case and our side as heroes to win the culture. What avenue of entertainment do you think is the most important or the most well-suited? I know people whose entire lives have been changed by a movie, or people who base their entire worldviews on the songs of a particular person. Just curious what you thought. Well, they all matter. A great movie stays with you probably more than anything else in the world. But I will say this. The situation has changed really remarkably in the last 3 or 4 years. I do a show at PJTV with Andrew Klavan, that no good for nothing lowlife. And he has talked about, there was the golden age of television, which was back in the start of television. He's calling this the platinum age of television. He's absolutely right. When I was making movies for my entire life, I only had this revelation within the last year or two. I thought, I don't want to be on TV. TV is a little box about this big. It's very fuzzy. It's tinny sound, and I don't want my big story on a little box like this. Now, I have a 60-inch LCD TV, and I've got the little sound bar, and when I'm watching TV, I feel like I'm in a movie theater, and I don't have to put up with all the movie theater stuff. So it's a different experience. It is a cinematic experience now, television, and I think, to answer your question directly, Donnie, I think the most effective thing that we can do is to make it a series like The Walking Dead, because if you've got something like that, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, my personal favorite, Deadwood, you get to see people, you get 12, Downton Abbey, you get 10, 12, 15, 20 hours of people a season. That's a whole different animal than 2 hours. You can do things with characters, you can do things with story arcs, you can do all kinds of great things. But the reason I think it's much more effective culturally is, if you take Breaking Bad or Walking Dead just as an example, it's not a one-time movie. It's like you get a great movie every week, and then the conversation, the coffee table, the coffee room conversation, the water cooler conversation, every week, what's going to happen on Thursday? Or did you see last night's show? Or what? I can't believe they killed this guy. That's real cultural penetration. So if I could do anything, I would do that. If I could take Aurora from being a movie to being a series like that, something that was, something that was on TV every week for an hour with those kind of production values up on and this is the critical point, by the way. I can't believe I came to this last. The primary difference is no commercials, right? You get it on HBO or you get it on AMC or something. I know they have commercials on shows like Breaking Bad and stuff, but man, if you can get on like HBO or Showtime or Netflix or something like that, and not have commercials, good Lord, that's better than a movie. It's a 15-hour movie. And I realized, that my love for Star Trek, the original Star Trek, didn't come about as a result of the movies. I thought, with the exception of Wrath of Khan, the movies were pretty poor. But I realized, as this began to dawn on me, the impact of a TV series, a regular weekly TV series, is I spent 72 hours with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy, Well, 52-minute hours or however many, 48-minute hours, whatever there are when you take the commercial time out of it. But they ran 72 episodes over 3 seasons. 72 hours aboard the Enterprise is a long time. And that gives you not just a one-time experience like with a movie, like, wow, that was cool. Then they become friends. Plus, you see it in your house. There's a big psychological difference there, too, because when you get to your house, when you're in your house, you're relaxed in a way that you're not even relaxed in a movie theater. Anytime the lights go down and you start watching entertainment, your suspension of disbelief goes away. That's why it's such a powerful thing. Jeremy pointed out, it's really true, that you can be in a movie theater on a Saturday afternoon surrounded by 300 people in a dark room, and you've got a big box of popcorn in your lap, and you got a Coke in your hand, you're sitting there next to your girlfriend, and a werewolf jumps out of the forest, and you jump out of your chair. Why? Why do you jump out of your chair when you see? Why are you genuinely scared when you see a werewolf on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon surrounded by 300 other humans when you know for a perfect fact that there's no such thing as werewolves? Why? It's because the act of watching a story or listening to a story disengages the critical functions of your brain. You have to turn those things off. If you really get down to brass tacks, when you watch Shakespeare on stage, for example, you see two men in a costume, and there is a suggestion, some kind of a suggestion of a wall or in many cases, just a curtain. And you believe that you're in a castle in Denmark because of how a drape is hung. So when you're ready to sketch in those kind of details and ready to go along with the story, that's something fundamental, primal in the human animal, this ability to suspend your disbelief and go along with the story. Once that disbelief gets suspended, all those political messages come in through your eyes, go straight to your brainstem. You don't get to examine them at all. And I remember I saw Bowling for Columbine at a theater in, where was it? It wasn't in Santa Monica. I guess it was in West LA or something. And I was watching this movie in a room full of liberals. This is back when I really started doing this. And all this criticism of, of Republicans and conservatives and Bush and Christians and military and all this other stuff. And I went in there, shields up, like ready to just take this thing apart. And I'm watching it. And then by the time I'm an hour into this, I'm like feeling ashamed of myself. It's kind of like, I have to admit he's got a really good point there. I have to admit that really does make us look bad. I have to admit, and it's only when I'm out of the theater walking to my car, wait a minute. And this is just the stuff I knew. Then you find out about the actual lies that he told, how he re-edited the Charlton Heston interview, so it was out of sequence, and then things that actually happened after things happened, and then the whole giving away of a gun in a bank, which is the beginning of the movie. It's kind of stupid to give away a gun in a bank. Well, it turns out, it turns out that they didn't give away a gun in a bank. They gave away a gun when you open a new account. You had to go to the gun store, and the giant manatee Michigan of mendacity decides he's going to have them give them the gun in the bank because it would look better on camera. And these lovely, honest people give Michael Moore a rifle in the bank because Michael Moore told him it'd be a really, really great promotion for them. And so the whole thing that he starts the movie off with never actually happened. It's just plain, flat-out lying. And so I remember coming out of that theater and thinking about all the things that I felt bad about. And just literally after I was in the car sitting there going, oh, wait a minute. Now, hold on. Wait a minute. But when you're in there, you can't follow the story and do that. You can't stop the story and say, hold on, let me think about this for a second. You just got to go. So it's an incredibly powerful thing, Donnie. And if I had a chance, I would do a recurring series like Breaking Bad or Walking Dead, something with a real budget and something that could look good.